I think I would love to start with the housekeeping, and then we can move on to the good stuff. You saw the mask. Please do keep your masks up so we can keep everybody safe, not only for their shows this section, but next session too. If you need a fire exit, right where you came in through the back is a fire exit. This is also a fire exit. And if you need access to one without stairs, you'll have to work your way through the theater next door. So please don't go through there unless it's an emergency. Also for phones, if you could turn your phones completely off, that would be amazing. Or if you plan to take a picture or two, please be sure they're set to silent. And please be conscientious. This is obviously a literally full house, thank you. And so be conscientious of the people behind you, that you're not holding up to take phone, video or photos, and please no flash photography. The other thing is we have our video team here. We have Sinead from the video team, and we had Claire in earlier in the week taking photos. So we are well represented. So thank you to them for recorded. Also, it's a small space. If you have those metal water bottles, would you be conscientious of them? They make quite a racket when they go flying. Great. I think that's all the dirty work. It is such an honor to be here at Stage Door. I want to thank the Samuelson-Saman family for having us here on this camp every summer. None of us could do any of this work without them, so thank you to them. And I have the most remarkable team on this show. Our designers have been incredible top to bottom. I have Tierney on scenic design, Sam back there on lights, Laura is backstage on costumes, and Neelam backstage on both hair and makeup. Samuel did our sound, and the sound for every single show you're seeing this weekend. And the tech staff here works through the night. We would come in every morning and something new would be painted or built. That happens on every stage in this camp. So if you see anybody wearing a black t-shirt that says tech, please thank them. They are truly the people who make this happen for us and for all of the actors here. So thank you to the entire team. I couldn't do anything that I do, and none of us could do this without our amazing stage manager, Jen Kelly, who's PSM on Camp Abbey. So thank you to them as well. There is a great history on this camp of education, of theater, and there's also a great history to this land that we stand on. And I would love to acknowledge before we begin our work today that the land we are situated on is the traditional territory of the Lenni Lenape and Esopus people. And it's an honor for me to be able to honor the indigenous elders that came before, those who still live and in this and other territories, and for the indigenous generations yet to come. So thank you for joining us here for our work on this land. And finally, this camp, there are some amazing students in the audience, some really wonderful, wonderful campers here, and it's a pleasure to work with all of you. But this group backstage has really moved me this year. They have come together to create a theatrical experience out of people really from history, to tell a story that really happened to real people. They have been an ensemble, they have been a remarkable support system to one another, and they've also done some darn good acting. So that's enough from me. I can't wait for you to visit the story that they're about to share with you. Welcome to the Radium Girls.
So much light, daylight, all the time. And on the sunny days, it almost felt like you were sitting outside. It was that bright.
That surprised you, Grace.
it was a factory, I thought it would be dark and dirty.
Then why would you go to work there?
I was 15. It was time I paid my own way.
Pay your own way. What about school?
I didn't miss it much. The girls were all so nice, and the work wasn't hard. It wasn't like factory work, really. It was more like art, painting those dials. We were artists.
I'm not really the one you should be talking to. Von Sashaki, he's the one you should talk to.
Now, Arthur, you know he won't talk to us.
It was his process.
Tell me about that process. You used the powder.
We used a powder. The girls mix it with an adhesive to make the paint. And that business with the brushes, I didn't invent that. They were doing that when I started there.
But you knew about it.
We all knew about it. We just didn't realize what it meant.
Irene? In here. Irene, what are you doing?
Oh, shut the door.
Amalia's working inspection today.
Is that bad?
Not for us. She's gonna be sitting in this room all day by herself in the dark checking dials. Poor thing. Poor thing.
So we're gonna give her a little surprise.
Boom! Like a Cheshire cat.
Won't that make her mad?
Let her get mad. That's half the fun.
Well, I don't want to make her mad.
Grace, do you have to be that way about everything?
What way?
Your teeth, Grace. Let's put them on your teeth. It's like Mom, you don't deserve it. She paints more dolls than any girl on the floor. And can't be bothered to talk to nobody either. You say, Amalia, what's up? She just looks at you funny.
I don't think she can speak much English.
It wouldn't hurt to smile, would it? She's coming! Get in the way! We're switched! For pity's sake, Catherine!
Oops.
Mrs. McNeil! Hey,
Your faces? Have you gone off your minds?
It was just a joke.
Just a joke! A joke like that can lose a girl her job!
No, Mrs. McNeil, I'm sure that's unnecessary.
I don't tolerate no foolishness, Doctor.
Yeah, very good. Foolishness, we don't want, do we? Mr. Leader, this is the inspection. All the dials that are painted come here. And these are some of the girls who should be on the floor working. Girls, this is Mr. Leader, my new vice president and your new plant manager.
And I was just telling Mr. Reader what a fine bunch of girls we have here. I'm sure now he must think I'm halfway out of my mind.
Mr. Leader, do you happen to have any words for the girls, Mrs. McNeil?
Well, girls, this paint you've been playing with, it's very expensive. You realize this? It takes several tons of ore to produce a single gram of radium. That's a lot of work. Hard work for the men in the extraction plant. But they do this work gladly. You understand why? Why they work so hard? What we are all working for?
the war?
That's right, the war. The dials you paint save lives, girls. Our boys in the field depend on them to read them in the dark, no mistaking what they see. Otherwise, some of those boys won't be coming home. So, girls, if you play around and don't take the work seriously, well, you're playing into the hands of the Kaiser, and we don't want that, do we?
No.
So let's get back to work now and leave the tomfoolery to home.
Mr. Reader, I just wanted to say that I'm sorry. I won't do nothing like this ever again.
Well, dear, just keep this in mind. If you do right by us, we'll do right by you.
May 17th, 1921. Nancy Jane Harlan here for the New York Graphic. The New York Graphic's only girl reporter.
Janet Youngwood here for the Newark Ledger, Newark's first source for news.
Madame Marie Curie, an eminent French scientist, embarks on a whistle-stop tour of the United States.
First stop, New York City, where she is greeted by an enthusiastic crowd of well-wishers.
The High Priestess of Science is now headed to Washington. where she will receive a gift of 1 gram of radium, valued at $100,000.
Purchased for her by the members of the Mary Curie Radium Club, an association of 100,000
Who
women.
each give $1 in support of humanitarian research with radium. Grace, over here.
Oh, Irene! Look, I got my certificate. Member, Marie Curie Radium Club.
You gave a dollar?
It's all for science.
Science. What about my room and board? Look.
There she is.
Welcome all, welcome all. I must ask you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, to please hold your questions. Madam Curie is about to embark on an exhaustive tour of the country and is under strict doctor's orders to rest. Although, in the typical fashion of a scientist who can think only of her research, her life's work, she's refused to rest.
Madam Curie, what will you do with the radium? What will you do with the radium?
Oh, I will continue my experiments to find out a method for the treatment of the cancer.
Is radium a cure for all cancer?
Cure for the cancer? Yes, that is so. Radium has already killed all kinds of the cancer.
But some doctors dispute that.
Since they do not understand the methods, there is no question radium will cure the cancer.
Madam Curie,
Curie.
Madam Curie, how have you managed to devote yourself both to science and to your children?
It has not been easy. But my daughter share my gratitude to the American woman for their interest in science and my work. I am most grateful.
Madam Curie.
Madam Curie,
No more questions! Madam Curie's on a tight schedule. Mrs. Andrew Carnegie has sent a car and will escort Dr. Curie personally, as will I, to Washington, where President Carnegie will present the gift of 1 gram of radium.
You see that, Charlie? That is a marketing opportunity. Let's send her one of our customers' watches, courtesy of the United States Radium Corporation.
We'll need a press release.
Radium isn't just for scientists to study. The average American can share in its glory every night. Luminous watches, luminous clocks. Anyone who thinks these are just novelties, consider all the other advances of the past 50 years. The electric light, the telegraph,
The telephone
the automobile. Inventions all once dismissed as novelties, as toys.
are now essentials to modern life. Got it. I'd ought to sell some watches.
Watches, absolutely. But that's not where the growth is now, Charlie. You heard the lady, it's the medical market.
And Standard Chemical owns it.
Only because Von Sashaki lets them take it. But if we wanted to, we could get half their business. It's just a matter of positioning.
Standard Chemical publishes its own journal. Sends it out monthly to 12,000 doctors. We could do something similar.
Something scholarly that the doctors would respect.
A bibliography listing every article ever published on radium.
But with capsule reports to save the doctors time. They get the information, find it
And
fast.
have us to thank for it.
We'll send it to every doctor in the U.S. Radium Society.
Every doctor in the American Medical Association.
That's the spirit, Charlie. Advertising. That's the wave of the future. It's not just the product, it's the way you promote it.
You should have seen it, Grace. The church was filled with flowers, lilies, and carnations and orchids. You know how Malia loved orchids. They want orchids. They were orchids, Irene. Guys, purple orchids. I know an orchid when I see one. And that smell, Grace. I mean, that smell. What was it like? It was like
Flowers?
no. It was like heaven. I was gonna say it was like heaven.
Like heaven? Catherine, it was just a funeral. Make it out like it was some Valentino picture.
It wasn't just a funeral. It was Amalia's. And it was beautiful. I mean, the church looked like botanical gardens. And the company sent over a big spray of flowers. Carnations. Mums. Yellow carnations.
Those were mums.
Well, it sounds like a nice service anyhow. Girls, the whistle's already gone. Now then, I've received new instructions this day. We're going back to the old way of pointing the brushes. It was losing too much paint in the cloth. But,
Yes, Grace.
something you wish to say? Well, Dr. Von Shashaki told me not to do that. He said it's unsanitary.
Unsanitary. Well, I can hardly believe he'd say such a thing. We've done this as long as I've been here.
You must have misunderstood.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're not to get new brushes until you've done with the old, and they got to be so bad they can't get a point on them no more.
You can't make quota like that.
Well, you'll do your best then, since I have my instructions.
I need a new brush.
It's not for us to be asking questions, is it? It's for us to do the work.
I have my instructions, girls. I have my instructions.
Here's an instruction for you, McNeil. That's some of the starch on your corset.
Was she at the service?
McNeil, are you kidding? I think she crossed the street for her own mother.
Most everybody else was, though. You was about the only girl from the floor that wasn't there.
I wanted to go, but Mom was working and I had to watch the little ones.
You could have brought them.
All 7?
Well, if it was me, I'd have tried to been there.
Lay off. Grace feels bad as it is.
Were many of the fellas there?
Oh yeah, lots of fellas from downstairs. Mr. Roth from the front office, Dr. Von Shockey was there, and Mr. Rear.
And he left early.
So, he was there all the same. Oh, and Grace, you know that fella from crystallizing, the one with the red hair, what was his name?
The tall one with the freckles?
Yes.
George.
Jerry. I think it's George.
It's Jerry Mallon. He was the one who was always talking to Amalia in the dairy.
Oh, that's right. Well, after the mass, he goes over to the coffin, and he goes like this, he goes,
No.
yes.
Really?
Really?
Oh, for Pete's sakes!
Well, he did. Nobody could believe it.
So what if he did?
So what? He was in love with her. That's so what? Don't you think so, Grace?
Well, I guess he had to have been, if he did that.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine if he was in love with her and he never told her because she was so beautiful and he was so shy and now it's too late. It's too late. And their love is forever thwarted. He never told her, and now he'll never get the chance again. Poor Amalia. Poor Amalia.
Poor kid.
Her family took it awful bad, too. Albina, Kinta, everybody, every one of them crying. Even her father. I've never seen a man cry before, not like that, just bawling like a baby.
And you know why, too?
Because their daughter had died.
What she died from.
I mean, don't go spreading stories.
It's not a story, Albina told us. No reason Grace should know.
No what? No what?
Amalia? Ain't it awful? Albina said her father's fit to be tied too. 6 girls at home, and ain't none of them ever gonna go to a dance again.
All because Amalia upped and died from syphilis. Shh! I can't help it, that's what she died from.
You don't know that for sure. It was on the death certificate.
Anemia and complications from syphilis.
But Amalia was ever so nice.
Guess she got around more than we knew.
Maybe it's a mistake. Maybe the doctor got it wrong.
Come on.
He could have gotten it wrong. Doctors are wrong
I mean,
sometimes.
that's true that the doctor was wrong about that Ivy.
What's Mama got to do with it?
Ivy, don't you remember, up to the day she died, the doctor said, and Ivy would be fine. He said, take a cup of tea and a good night's rest, and then 2 days later we were taking her over to Rosedale Cemetery.
Girls, your attention please. The gentlemen are here to make an announcement.
Thank you, Mrs. McNeil. Girls, we're here to put a few rumors to
And
rest.
to explain some changes, yeah?
Yes, as some of you may have heard by now, Dr. Von Shockey is stepping down, and he wanted to take the opportunity
To make this goodbye. And Mr. Leader has kindly consented. Some of you I've known since you were little girls, coming here during the war, fighting so hard, day after day at the bench, painting 200, 300, some of you $500 a day. So excited to be part of our work here. In this company, I start mixing up the paints in my own kitchen. I knew I found something marvelous. Something to make life better, easier. And now what do I need? More and more uses the office of radium. More than I think possible.
Yes, thank you, Doctor. Now, girls, the doctor's a very busy man and must be on his way. So let's wish him the best of luck.
And to Miss Almeida, let us also wish the very best. Who's up 80 steps as your new company president. Our congratulations to you.
Thank you.
When Mr. Leader came 4 years ago to us, I saw in him a young man of great enterprise.
Thank you.
And great ambition.
Yes, thank you.
Little did I know the direction that ambition would take. But, of course, one of the things that makes this country great is the opportunities that presents a young man and his friends.
And so, girls.
And so, ladies, let us wish Mr. Leader the very best in the new direction he intends the company to take.
New direction.
Now, Doctor.
With a slowdown in dial painting and business moving to the medical market, there's going to be lots of changes, yeah?
What the doctor is referring to, some of our larger customers are setting up their own dial painting studios.
Which means less work for our girls here.
In the short run, things may be slower here. However, the Waterbury Clock Company in Connecticut will need help setting up its new studio. We were intending to make the announcement next week. We'll make it now. Ms. McNeil?
Well, we'll be asking some of you girls to go on up there.
The work is supervisory in nature, which means more pay. You have some girls in mind?
Louise Conlon was one, Sarah Dutch, Lena McCarthy, and Catherine Shaw. I have the entire list downstairs. I'll post it today.
Fine. There you have it, girls. As we are all on the clock, we'll leave you to your work.
Thank you, ladies. My best wishes to all of you.
That's back to work with you, girls.
You gonna do it, Catherine? You gonna take that job?
I don't know, Grace. I mean, would you go to Connecticut?
Well, I don't know. It's awful far from home, don't you think? Tommy would have a fit.
Oh, come on, Grace. It'd be fun. Irene? Irene?
Irene, honey, you alright? Yeah, sure. Why wouldn't I be alright? What? Your mouth is bleeding?
$35 a week and she quits the place.
More life than money.
That's what you say when you're young, Tom, but you and Grace get to be my age, with a house full of kids underfoot, you'll thank God for every penny you put by.
We got money put by.
How much?
Enough to get married on.
Don't take much to get married on. Do you have enough to stay married on?
You let us get married and we'll see.
You still eating, Tommy?
It's good.
You are going to get fat.
Gotta keep his strength up. He works hard for his money.
Don't start.
I didn't say nothing. It's your father who hit the roof over it.
He didn't hit the roof.
You should have seen the look on that man's face, Tommy. When he found out Grace wasn't working no more, most girls would give their eye teeth for a job like that. Easy work, good money, nice-looking fellas around the plant.
You didn't tell me about them, Grace.
Weren't that many of them. Hardly seem worth the mention. And she leaves it all behind, for reasons unknown. I'm tired of it up there, she says. Are you tired of the paycheck, I says. Who needs a paycheck, she says. I got me a boyfriend to take me out Saturdays.
She said that.
Oh, you know I didn't. And, for your information, I got a job. I start at the bank on Monday.
Oh yeah, the bank. And what's that pay?
Enough.
Enough. Always enough. You know what that means, Tom? Don't come close to what it pays up at the radio. you'll be spending more money on clothes then.
Boy, she is really steamed at you.
I don't see what difference it makes so long as I'm working somewheres.
Don't make no difference to me. I just thought you liked it up there.
Sure, I liked it. I worked there 4 years.
So, I've been delivering mail almost 8 years. Plan to keep on delivering mail another 20 or 30 years. If I'm lucky, nothing like steady work and a good pension to help you sleep at night.
I don't have a pension and I sleep just fine.
I bet you do. So how come you quit, Grace?
Lots of girls are quitting. Work is slow, and besides, ever since Irene left, it's just not as much fun anymore. And wouldn't you rather have a girlfriend who works in a bank?
Not as much as I like to have a wife who go work nowhere.
Close your eyes. I got a surprise for you.
Yeah? Want me to pull the shades?
Not that kind of surprise! Close your eyes. Now look.
Wallpaper.
For the baby's room?
Baby's room? You won't kiss me and you're talking about babies?
Oh, there's gonna be babies eventually, Tommy.
Well, sure, Grace, but you know, most girls, they get married before they decorate the nursery.
Plan ahead for once. Pick one.
They're both nice.
But they're different. This one has little flowers and that one has big flowers. So pick one.
Is this some kind of test?
No, it's wallpaper.
It is some kind of test.
Just pick one, Tommy.
They're both nice.
But which one do you like, though?
That
Really? This one is pretty, don't you think?
Then that one.
But I want you to pick the one you like.
Grace, if you like it, I'll like it. Wallpaper's wallpaper.
No, it isn't. You have to pick something you can stand to look at for 20 years.
Same way you pick women.
Keep it up, smarty pants. You won't ever get that kiss.
Okay. That one. That one, hands down.
I like that one, too. A nice neutral yellow can go with either a boy or a girl. And until the baby comes, we can use the room for other things.
Other things.
Like a painting studio, maybe?
A painting studio, maybe? Think you get enough painting at work?
Not the kind I wanted to do, Tommy. I used to do watercolors in school, but ever since I went to work, I don't got the time. Once we get married, I just want some time. Just a little bit of time so I can do watercolors. Or oils, maybe. Maybe portraits and oils. I could paint your picture if you like.
Sure. Paint a big picture of me and we'll hang it in that house. All our friends will come around just to use the can so they can look at it.
The way you talk sometimes.
Come on, Grace. If you want to paint pictures, paint pictures. I ain't gonna stop you.
You say that now, but once we're married, you'll change your tune.
Sure, I'll be whistling Dixie.
Where do you come home one night? All wore out. Some Christmas maybe, when every customer along your routes had 3 times the mail. Maybe some dog took out here and some old lady kept you waiting on her stoop telling you all about her grandchildren and you just didn't have the heart to tell her you can't talk. I know you. So you come home all tired, cranky, and late besides, hungry, wanting your dinner. And there I am, my easel in the kitchen, a drop-cloth on the floor, my paints all over the table, and your dinner nowhere in sight. What would you say then?
Better be a painting of me or better be a picture of me you're painting.
I know what you'd say. Where's my dinner? You'd say, where's my dinner?
still admire the painting. Just want it on a full stomach is all. So how would I do? Pick the right wallpaper?
I don't know, maybe I'll go look at stripes.
Stripes, polka dots, I don't care. You're plenty old enough, Grace. Let's just get married. Tell your mom we ain't waiting no more. We'll just do it now.
We are not doing it right now, Tommy. We're gonna do it the right way.
A nice church wedding with some music and some flowers. And then a weekend at the seashore, just us. And then we'll set up our own place. You'll see. It'll be worth the wait.
Your mouth hurts?
Yeah, the dentist wants to pull another tooth in the back.
Well, what's the tooth?
Hazel Cuser, any connection to the others?
Only by virtue of employment.
Except she's got a good lawyer.
Knows how to write a good letter anyway, that lawyer.
And she no longer works here.
About 6 months ago.
This makes 4 now.
3.
4 if you count the magic girl.
I wouldn't include her.
She worked here.
She also worked other places. And what she died from, you can pick up here. At least I don't think you can.
That's not funny, Charlie. Besides, that's just idle talk.
In my experience, there's usually something to the idle talk with girls like that.
From a large family, wasn't she?
Italians, the conditions they live in, 10, 12 people in 3 rooms. It's a wonder they don't all die from one infection or another.
3 then. And how many dead?
Only Miss Madja, but I haven't heard from her people.
It's too late for them anyways. The statute of limitations is 2 years. Miss Cuser, however, is another story. She's in a position to cause some trouble now.
In all the time I've been here, no one has so much as slipped on the floor. Now this.
We're talking about 4 girls out of how many hundreds we've hired?
600, 700 over the years.
And some of them were sick when they got here. One girl you hired was a complete cripple. She couldn't even climb up the stairs. Her father had to carry her up to the studio every morning.
It didn't make any difference to me how she got up the stairs. She was a fast worker and a very sweet little girl.
But she was in poor health.
She needed the work.
Arthur, Charlie!
And not just for the money. To feel productive, to have a purpose. That's what work does, Charlie. It gives us a purpose. And I don't see any reason why we should stop hiring girls like that.
When they get sick and try to blame us for it, you might want to reconsider that policy.
Let's see what Dr. Drinker has to say.
Dr. Drinker?
Some professor at the Harvard School of Industrial Hygiene.
He chairs the department, and he's agreed to take a look at our operations.
Don't you think we're jumping the gun a bit hiring him?
We've had 6 girls quit this week, and Mrs. McNeil tells me there could be more.
Girls come and go all the time.
It's never been like this. These girls are terrified. We've got to do something to calm them.
Letting Drinker examine them? That sounds to me like a recipe for mass hysteria.
We'll tell them it's a routine physical. Edward,
Companies give physicals all the time.
then Drinker will start next month.
In the meantime, I think we might want to make an offer to Miss Cuser.
There's no proof her problems are connected to us.
If she sues, believe me, you won't like the publicity it brings. And neither will your investors.
Do you think this will affect the stock offerings?
So do you.
Wonderful. We'll open at 30 and close at 10.
We're not open at all.
But if we give this girl something, that will keep her quiet,
It would be a condition of the settlement.
maybe we better do it.
Suppose that lawyer has a racket going. He finds sick girls and talks them into making suits. Then we reward him for his larceny.
Unless Miss Cuser genuinely believes she got sick here.
It could be like Charlie said. She comes from a large immigrant family, not well educated, not a lot of resources.
A few $100 would make a big difference to a girl like that.
Certainly. Pay a few doctor's bills, buy some medicine. From the sound of that letter, I don't think she has long to live anyways.
So it would be a gesture of decency then.
Exactly.
What do you think we should offer?
March 24, 1924. Jack Gilmore here for the Newark Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic, the Graphic's only girl reporter.
Could radium water pose a cure for crippling arthritis? Scientific studies suggest a connection.
Dateline, Orange, New Jersey. Radiant water products offer miracle cure for crippling arthritis.
Some patients reported a significant abatement in their symptoms.
Mrs. Jeremy Michaels of the Bronx tells how radium water transformed her life.
My pain got so bad, I couldn't hardly bend over.
While others reported only mild relief.
This poor, brave woman could not even bend over to kiss her little ones goodnight.
And I got 3. Let me tell you, they are a handful.
Dr. Harrison Martland, Chief Medical Examiner at Essex County, commented on the study.
Preliminary at best.
Your recommendations, Dr. Martin.
I advise further study. Further study.
Then Mrs. Michaels tried Radathor.
They said it would help my rheumatism, so I drank a bottle a day for a month. Wasn't cheap, but I was desperate.
The test sample is questionably small.
Well, first off, I felt like I'd been hit by a bolt of lightning. It was that powerful. Now I drink a bottle a week just to maintain my health. I hang laundry and scrub the kitchen floor, same way, always done.
Dr. William J.A. Bailey of Orange, inventor of Radathor, reports strong demand for his product.
Dr. William Bailey of Orange announces sales of Radathor exceed 100,000 cases worldwide.
Radioactivity is one of the most remarkable agents in medical science. I drink Radiathor myself, and I can vouch for its power.
A bottle a day?
At $1 a bottle?
Worth every penny.
Yes, indeed. I myself was a picture of lethargy before I discovered the amazing, vitalizing qualities of radium water. Now look at me. I'm nearly 50 years old, but I still have the energy of a man in his 30s.
You rather look like a man in his 30s.
Well, thanks.
A testament to the tonic's potency.
Or to the celebrated creativity. Radiathor, it's perpetual sunshine.
And a perpetual money machine for its inventor.
Is there no end to what science can do?
Maybe we should have made an appointment.
I don't need no appointment.
It's a busy place, Catherine. If you don't have an appointment, maybe you should have made one.
I should need no appointment for this.
I'm sorry, I didn't find anything under Shaw.
It's under Rudolph.
Rudolph.
The girl I'm asking about, Irene Rudolph.
Did she file the complaint?
No, the dentist did.
The dentist.
Dr. Neff. Irene's dentist. He said that she might have flossy jaw and that he was going to send a complaint to the health department, but when I asked him about it, he said he hadn't heard anything, and it's been more than 6 months now.
Frosty jaw, you say?
Yes.
Catherine, it could have been like your doctor said, a blood infection.
Yeah, but what gave it to her? That's the thing. But where did she get it from?
From dirt? You can get infections from dirt.
From dirt? Her face puffed up like a pumpkin. Her jaw rotted so bad she couldn't eat nothing. You think you get something like that from a little bit of dirt? You get it from phosphorus. They're telling everybody it's radium in the paint, but it's really the phosphorus that makes it glow.
Honestly, Catherine, you can't really believe that.
Great. You saw her.
Catherine, if it's like you say, they'd never let you work up there in the first place.
Sure, they could shut the place down.
Shut it down. Who? Who's gonna shut it down?
I don't know, the county.
Honestly, Grace, you are such a nitty.
Hey,
How are they gonna shut it down if they don't know about it? Ever think of that?
now come on.
It's all right, Tommy.
She's got no business talking to you that way.
She is just upset.
Upset? She's gone around the bend. She probably thinks they're dumping arsenic in the drinking water. What's next? They're kidnapping babies to stoke the furnace?
Go ahead and laugh. You'll be laughing so hard when it's you coming in here 6 months from now asking after Grace!
For crying out loud!
It's just a toothache, Catherine.
Yeah. That's how it started for Irene. Just a tooth. You wait, Grace. You wait. You'll wake up one morning, your mouth has been so bad, you'll be able to open your mouth so weak and sick, you'll be able to stand up, you'll be in so much pain, you'll be able to sleep, your face so swollen, you'll be down the side of your mouth!
I said stop it! Grace is fine. Right, Gracie?
Irene Rudolph?
That's it.
state health and labor regulations. They ordered an analysis of
Let me
pain.
see that.
Miss, really?
Who's Miss Young?
That's the health officer. Miss Young is
The
one.
paint is a harmless compound of radium and zinc.
As I was saying, the analysis shows there's no phosphorus in the paint. There's no phosphorus anywhere in the plant.
There. You see, Catherine?
Miss Young toured the plant herself and found nothing amiss. I'm sorry.
Well, guess we can get some lunch then.
I want to file another complaint.
They already did an investigation.
I want to file another complaint!
Oh, brother.
Catherine, these folks, they're awful busy here.
I want to file another complaint.
I just don't see what good this is going to do. To make such a fuss this way.
Great. 3 surgeries. And they wanted to cut her again. She finally said no. She knew what was left of her jaw rotted so bad. The smell was terrible. And Grace, you know what worse than it is? I couldn't look at her. Irene was so afraid of being alone, and I left her alone. When she died, it was in the middle of the night, and she was all alone.
I'm sorry, can we have another form?
My friend would like to file another complaint.
Another complaint. Is the girl still sick?
No, she died.
Wait right here.
Harriet! Harriet, you'll come down from that tree at once!
I'm waiting for Papa!
Fine. When he gets here, I'll send him up after you.
There he is! Papa! Papa!
Harriet!
Harriet, come down at once!
Papa, I can see clear to the church!
Can you? Do you see your grandfather?
No, but I see the schoolhouse.
You think this is funny?
She's enjoying herself.
Harriet!
Tell you what, if she is known to shout to, she won't shout.
They can hear her all over the neighborhood.
Can they?
When she comes down, I want you to speak to her.
She's 9 years old, Diana.
I'm trying to raise a daughter, not a son.
Time is on your side. In another year or two, she'll lose all interest in trees and develop a fascination with boys.
That's supposed to scare me?
And when that day comes, you'll be frantic because she no longer wants to climb trees.
What's this?
Something to give you vitality.
You think I need vitality?
That's what it says on the bottle.
Is it pure?
We're his supplier. Want to try it?
If it'll give you vitality, how could I refuse? Your father came by to see me today.
Another hard luck case?
4 children at home, all under the age of 6.
Let me guess. Wife in the hospital with cancer.
Yes.
And the husband's been laid off from, let's see, the brickyard.
Yes.
Through no fault of his own.
How did you know?
Dad came around to see me yesterday. It's never enough of him just to have ordinary ambitions. You have to have a mission in life.
And you do.
No, I have a business plan.
You can't tell me you wouldn't help this man if you could.
If I could, but I can't give him a job that doesn't exist.
What about Dan Lehman?
Dan?
Maybe he could use some help.
In the laboratory? Dan needs trained technicians, not a bricklayer. Why don't you send him to Mrs. Middleton? Don't you women have a social club for things like this?
You mean the Women's Club Civics Committee?
Right.
Yes, the club takes an interest in such cases, but we're not in employment service either, which is why I thought you could help him.
Oh, you do love being married to the company president.
It has its advantages.
Ever think of trading it in?
Do you?
I got my shoes shined this morning, and while I sat there and watched the boy work, I thought, this is quite an enterprise. The work walks in, the work walks out. No inventory, no warehouse, no health inspector, no stock price.
And you'll trade all of it in for your own shoe shine stand.
Fewer headaches that way.
So you're one of those ones again. What is it this time? It can't be the market they went up today.
Now you're reading the financial pages.
I have to entertain myself somehow. So, what happened today? You're being very strange.
Am I? I'm sorry.
You can tell me, you know.
Nothing to tell, really. This is going to be our best year ever.
So it's the prospect of success that you find so disheartening.
I'll get my checkbook.
What for?
You're a bricklayer.
Artie, he's the job, not charity. What is it your father always says? A working man needs to work.
It wears on his soul not to work. Well, if it's a matter of his soul, that's different. Alright, I'll talk to Dave.
Artie,
But I make no promises, Diane.
no promises.
To your help.
How long you had this drainage?
A week or two? Heard something awful, Dr. Ned.
Anything else bothering you?
Back hurts some too.
You're back now. You seen your regular doctor?
He says it's nerves.
Nurse?
About my wedding and all.
This ain't no case of nerves. I hope you told him that.
What do you think?
I think you better schedule that surgery.
Couldn't we wait till after my wedding?
You don't have that surgery, you won't have no wedding.
Huh?
Miss Fryer, I want you to listen to me. Your jawbone is decaying. That's the black pus oozing out of your gums. It's the bone itself.
That's impossible.
To Mr. Arthur Reeder, U.S. Radium Corporation, from Cecil Drinker, Harvard University. Enclosed is our report.
Finally.
We believe the trouble in your plant is due to the radium.
Radium?
It can't be as bad as all that.
This can't be.
Put on surgery and you'll develop a septic condition. It could be fatal.
The blood changes in your employees can be explained on no other grounds.
Everything I got. I saved for my wedding.
Photographic films carried by employees show heavy fogging,
I've got a suggestion for you.
and we suspect high levels of gamma radiation throughout the plant.
Go to the radium plant and explain your situation. Go to the company.
We realize no proof can be offered at present,
Once they see what kind of shape you're in,
This is impossible.
they've got to feel obligated to help you out.
but in view of the material in the literature,
This is a
and
mistake.
the facts disclosed by our investigation,
I don't see how they could refuse.
we recommend immediate and drastic remedial action.
Look, if you want, I'll write some for you. They can work through me, just pay my bills directly.
Do you think they do that?
Charlie!
They've got a moral obligation, don't you think?
I guess so.
We'll do it right now. I'll get some paper.
He has to be wrong, that's all. He's wrong. Charlie, he has to be wrong.
You must have overlooked something.
If we're suffering from a new ailment caused by radium, it should occur generally throughout the plant.
One would expect.
Several hundred milligrams are in solution at all times in the big vats. Several hundred milligrams in the ore, several hundred in
The
crystallizing.
entire backyard is filled with palings.
Radium is present in good amounts all over the property.
If it is the radium, then the incidence of illness should be highest in the laboratory.
And no one there is sick,
Then perhaps it's some combination of the radium with the zinc.
or something peculiar to our plant alone.
Some kind of bacteria, perhaps in the brushes.
It can't be the radium. There are dozens of application plants across the country, and none has ever reported anything like this.
The Department of Labor wants to see the report.
Yes, I'm aware.
What do we do? This tears us to pieces. How do we answer them?
They want to see the report? We'll send them this.
One page.
The most important page.
Drinker will never stand for this.
Drinker works for us! This is a proprietary report. What we do with it is our business.
The Department of Labor, Arthur.
We just need time, Charlie. Just a little
They
time.
could shut us down for this.
Scientists, government men, they have no idea what it takes to run a business. Von Sushaki thought advertising was a dirty word. He laughed at the very idea of promotion. I can't tell you how many times I walked into that man's office and he turned a deaf ear to everything I told him. But Charlie, we showed him. We showed him. Look at us. We are the world's largest single supplier of radium. The largest in the world. You know what it took for us to get here. Do you think I'm going to stand idly by and let our good names be dragged through the mud? Trust me, Charlie.
Dr. Flynn, it's awful nice of you to come all this way.
Not at all, my dear, not at all.
I told the surgeon he was coming, so he gave me the results of my blood work.
Excellent.
And
I
so
must say, Miss Fryer, your blood looks better than mine.
it does.
Yeah, that's what happens to an old man who smokes. Now, tell me, what else troubles you?
My feet and my back mostly. I've had to wear a brace for a while.
I see. And this started before you left the company or after?
After I left. Dr. Neff says it has to do with the radium. I know another girl who died from it. Irene Rudolph.
Oh yes, terrible thing. Vincent Sanjan.
What's that?
It's an ulcerated condition of the mouth, my dear.
From the radium.
Oh, no. An unfortunate and rare result of poor dental care. So that'd be a lesson to you. Always brush your teeth.
But there was something else like this in the paper about another girl who got sick. One girl I've worked with for a while. She's in the hospital in New York, and the doctors don't know what to
Miss
do.
Fryer.
They've never seen.
Don't tell me you pay any attention to the newspapers. Those stories are not scientific.
But
Reporters are not scientific. They write to sell, not to educate. The scientist is not concerned with what sells. He's concerned with the truth. He undertakes years of painstaking study to arrive at an understanding of intricate natural process that most people have never presumed to comprehend. You would do well to listen to science and ignore the nonsense that is printed in the papers. Because I can tell you right now, radium has nothing to do with what's ailing you.
and what's ailing me?
Poor diet, Miss Fryer. Poor diet.
But Dr. Neff said that
Dr.
it's
Knapp is a dentist, not a physician. What you suffer from is a vitamin deficiency. You need to eat more fresh fruit
hard to do in the winter.
and raw meat as well. That will help with the anemia. Raw cow's liver particularly. Cook it if you must, but eat it twice a week at a minimum. No, Miss Fryer. I'm a scientist, and I took a purely scientific interest in your problem. By allowing me to examine you, you've helped me to further my own studies. I thank you. Call me anytime, day or night.
Okay, Dr. Flynn. Thank you.
Happy to be of service, my dear.
Dr. Frederick Flynn, PhD, Physiology, Columbia University. PhD? That's not a real doctor.
My findings, Mr. Reader.
We've seen half a dozen girls from the plant so far. Word I hear he's working for the company.
An objective evaluation, I trust.
The source of my finding has no bearing on my research.
And I let that fella examine me?
I I never examined her per se. It was not a medical examination per se.
Nevertheless, you were able to offer her some useful advice.
I did my best for her.
The girlie seems it's the same thing. Nothing wrong with you.
Your blood is better than mine, he said.
And how are you doing on the rest of the report?
The animal studies I conducted all reveal no adverse effects from the radium. The problem is, as you suspected, personal hygiene only.
How can a person just do that? Straight out lie to you like that? That surprises me. It's exactly the way you said, Catherine. These people will say anything. They'll do anything except the right thing. Well, we're gonna make them, Catherine. We're gonna make sure somebody hears about this.
I am most grateful, Dr. Flynn, but I am particularly grateful to hear that the young lady you examined is doing so much better.
I never examined her, no. I merely consulted with her.
All the same, she's doing much better, isn't that so?
From what I can tell, she appears to be on the road to recovery.
Excellent.
Here's a list of my fees and expenses.
Mr. Lee will draw you a check.
And so I leave you with this one thought. Ladies and gentlemen, we do not have to accept injustice. We can use our powers as consumers to influence the practices of those who would wish to profit from our patronage. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Wiley. And thanks to the New Jersey Consumers League for another job well done. This concludes our program for the evening. No more questions, but we hope you'll join us next door for light refreshments.
You want to
Mike Rose, Laura. Can I help you?
I'm here to see Miss Wiley.
You're not a member of the Women's Club.
No, ma'am.
Are you a guest of a member?
No, ma'am, but Miss Wiley.
And I'm sure Miss Wiley would be happy to see you during her regular business hours.
I'm not leaving till I see Miss Wiley.
It's all right, Mrs. Middleton. It's fine. You must be Miss Fryer.
Yes, ma'am. Miss Young at the health department said I should see you. I would have stopped by your office, but I missed a lot of work lately and didn't want to miss no more.
No need to apologize. I've been meaning to call on you myself. Please sit down.
Me and Catherine, we wrote to the company of our troubles, but we never heard nothing. So then we went to see a couple lawyers, but all of them said they can't do anything because it's been so long since we left the radium plant. Something about the law won't allow it.
The statute of limitations.
Right. And then one lawyer said he would try to sue anyhow. Only he wants $1,000 up front. I already spent everything I had saved for my wedding on doctors and dentists and hospitals, and we still don't know what's wrong exactly. Oh, and Tom, that's my fella. He says he don't care. He wants to get married anyhow, but I just wonder, Miss Wiley, what good would I do him like this? If I could just get some compensation, I could settle my debts, and then maybe I wouldn't feel like I was saddling Tom with such a burden. I'm sorry for rambling on at you about these things, but I'm so tired of being pushed around.
I don't blame you.
Miss Young at the health department said the Consumers League had, what did she say? Clout.
I'd like to think so. We've certainly had our share of successes.
So, can you help us?
Tell me, Miss Fryer, just how far are you willing to go with this?
Ma'am?
Suppose I do find a lawyer to take your case, someone willing to take it on a contingency. You wouldn't have to pay him unless you won. Would you be willing to sue?
I want my compensation.
Of course you do. Now suppose the company says, here's some money, Miss Fryer. Only you are to tell no one what we've agreed to. You are to say nothing about how you got sick.
Keep it quiet, you mean?
Yes,
That don't seem right.
it isn't. But that's what they will try to do. They will try to buy your silence, Miss Fryer. Is it for sale?
No. No, ma'am, it isn't.
Good.
So, will you help us?
I think I can help you. If you are willing to take some chances.
Chances?
If you are willing to set aside your own need just for the moment, we can put a stop to this company. We can stop them dead in their tracks.
What do I have to do?
We start by putting you on page 1.
Page 1. You want her to talk to the paper?
Not just one paper. Many, many newspapers.
Is that really necessary? Only one is for Grace to get her compensation.
Let her finish. Tom.
I understand your concern, but the company has already shown it's willing to go to extremes to protect itself. Now, I'm afraid the only way we'll get to them is to hit them where it matters most, their public image. When every paper in the country tells your story, how you suffered, how you were sorely treated, how the company denied all responsibility. Believe me, Miss Fryer, when that happens, Arthur Reader will come to the table with his hat in his hands.
I'll do it.
I know it's a little frightening.
It's all right. Right now, I'm more angry than I am scared.
Good. Hold on to that anger, Miss Fryer. You're going to need it. Only be sure no one else sees it.
Ma'am?
Public sympathy, Miss Fryer. That's our strongest weapon. And the public doesn't have much sympathy for an angry woman.
December 4th, 1927. Jack Gilmore here for the Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan here for the New York Graphic.
On the strange case of the Radium
Who
Girls.
claim that they were poisoned at the hands of their own employer.
And now seek their day in court.
$250,000.
That is the price tag of their suffering.
$250,000?
Ask me, it's all a sham. What do you mean? Those girls are very sick. Sick of working, sure.
Doctors say the Radium Girls have only a year to live.
Only a year to live. And 250 grand to spend! What would you do with that kind of money?
What would you do to ease your last suffering days on Earth? What would you do with $250,000?
I'd buy a wardrobe like Irene Castle's.
I'd give it all to charity.
Then I'd travel around the world, first class, with all my friends.
I'd put a stock market.
I'd buy my wife a fur coat and a diamond the size of New Hampshire.
I'd use it to pay my medical bills. And to pay off the second mortgage on our house. The one my father had to take out to pay for my last operation.
Pretty Grace Fryer sits at home,
Suffering bravely through this entire ordeal.
struggling valiantly to keep up her flagging spirits.
For the sake of her family and her friends.
It hurts to smile. But I try to smile. I know if I don't smile, I'll go crazy.
Tell us, Miss Fryer, how does it feel knowing you have such little time left?
I try not to think about it.
But I must get here sometimes.
Knowing what you've been through.
And the company's getting fat off your labor.
And all they have to say about it is
No comment.
Don't you just want to punch somebody?
Oh, no. That won't do no good. I'd rather just think about how it's gonna be when justice prevails. Then I could do something nice for the folks. Maybe send them on a trip. They never did have no honeymoon.
What a fine example of womanhood. We can only aspire to bear our cross in life as nobly as this young girl.
Mr. Barry, you must object to this kind of histrionics.
I had had nothing to do with that, Mr. Markley.
I've been in this game a long time, Mr. Barry, so believe me, when I see a story like this move over the wires, I'm not so naive as to assume that a plaintiff's attorney has nothing to do with it.
What's your proposal, Mr. Markley?
$1,500 for each girl.
$1,500?
That's not even a year's
I think
wages.
it's very generous considering that your case won't survive the statute of limitations.
This is a case in equity, sir. The Chancery Courts will come to a different conclusion.
The Chancery Court can't rewrite the law, and the law is clear. 2 years from the date of injury, your clients are out of time.
2 years from the date the cause of injury is discovered.
Very creative, Mr. Barry, very clever. I have to admire your imagination. But you've a long way to go before you convince the judge.
In the meantime, Mr. Markley, the press will continue to take a great interest in this story and the company's complete indifference to its workers.
No doubt that will be good press for the Consumers League. And accuse us of exploiting these girls.
You're the one hiding behind the statute of
Hiding,
limitations.
Miss Wiley?
You know perfectly well, the law never anticipated a situation like this. These girls were dying years before anyone knew the cause.
Before anyone knew. Does that include the U.S. Radium Corporation? When, or should I say, if, this case goes to trial? I only hope that that is your opening argument. We will have made our case. See you in court!
Arrogance of that man!
Tell me again the purpose of those articles, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. That's the engine of reform.
You're antagonizing the company.
And the plan is working.
And what about the girls? How does it help them to read in a dozen different newspapers how little time they have left to live?
Surely you can see, Mr. Barry, the U.S. Radium Corporation cares nothing for the girls it has poisoned. The average housewife in Orange cares very deeply, and so do millions of other women across the country. These women shop, they buy watches. Markley can be as smug as he likes, but the Consumers League campaign will lead to only one outcome, and he knows it. That is why he was here today.
I only hope you're right, Miss Wiley.
Public sympathy, Mr. Barry. Wait and see.
Dear Miss Shaw, I read of your sad story in the Boston Globe, and I'm so sorry for your plight. It seems in this time of rapid advancement, the well-being of the average worker is overlooked. I would like to share with you girls the key to my own good health at the age of 92. It's called Christian Science.
Dear Mrs. Ryder, I read of your woeful situation in the Atlanta Constitution, and I am prepared to offer you a solution. Venacine, a wonderful tonic made from all natural ingredients. Venacine will restore your health and vitality. I'm prepared to offer you girls a lifetime supply of Venacine in exchange for the exclusive rights to your pictures for our advertisements.
Dear girl, I read about you in the Billings Gazette. I run a 100 head of cattle up here. I do very well by myself, but I've always longed for a companion, and I'm well equipped to offer you a comfortable home for your final hours. A girl like you suffers so much. Don't you think you deserve a few fleeting hours of happiness? Sincerely, your admirer, Leonard F. Watkins. P.S. Enclosed is my picture.
Look at this, Catherine. This man actually sent his picture. You all right, Catherine? Bleeding again. Should I get the nurse?
No, it did this before. It'll stop.
Maybe we should go.
No.
No, don't go.
Don't you need to sleep? Who can sleep? I never sleep.
Well, you'll sleep tomorrow.
Yeah. Might not wake up.
Of course, you'll wake up.
Months don't go well. Sometimes these things don't go so good. Like my mother's cousin.
She went to the hospital for her appendix and she never came home again.
You just can't think that way. That's all. Look at this snail, Catherine. Miss Wiley said folks would be on our side, and she sure was right. There's one from California.
What if we don't win?
Of course we'll win.
What if we don't? I mean, my father will lose his house. We'll be on the street. You'll lose your house. And what about you and Tom? You will never get married. I mean, how can you stand it, Grace?
Catherine, please.
I mean, how can Tom stand it? I mean, I've never heard him complain. Don't you ever wonder,
Catherine! Once the judge hears our testimony, he's going to rule for us. All they gotta do is take one look at us. It'll be over in a day.
You think so?
Sure. At the state we're in, we'd be awful hard to ignore. Don't you think?
That'll be something, won't it? To see the look on Mr. Reader's face when we're up on that stand. Now, you want to read some more letters?
Didn't handle vanilla, so I got some chocolate.
Took you long enough.
Don't get on me. 6 people stopped me on my way there. All of them reporters. All of them asked me after you.
Waiting for me to die.
No one is waiting for you to die.
That's true. One of them called my mother. Asked if I had died yet. When she said no, he sounded disappointed. Try to eat a little of this. It'll help you feel better.
Evening, girls. How about a picture?
For the love of Mike, what are you
Oh, we
doing?
need some pictures for the graphics exclusive on the girls.
Exclusive? What are you talking about?
$5,000. That's what I'm talking about. What do you say, Grace? That sound good to you? Think you could use $5,000?
I don't understand.
Perhaps you're familiar with Bernard McFadden.
Who, that fake healer?
Herbalist. Mr. Kreider, herbalist. Bernard McFadden's patented herbal therapy is just the thing to get you girls back on your feet. And the graphic will pay for it. All we ask is for the exclusive rights to their story from here on out. See for yourself.
You want to pay us to go see Bernard McFadden?
Easy money, huh? Let me see it.
They're serious, Grace.
The graphic always does business on the up and up.
I don't know.
Grace, what does your father own the house?
I don't know exactly.
And that last hospital bill, that was a couple hundred at least.
At least.
Grace, we should think about this.
And all we have to do is talk to this herbalist fella.
Oh, of course. We'll have to get our money's worth. A regular series of features with pictures following your treatment, your illness, and recovery. Or otherwise, depending on how it goes.
And then you just print whatever you want.
Maybe we add some color. Everybody adds color.
Don't sound so bad.
Maybe we should ask Miss Wiley about it.
Miss Wiley? What's it to her? You're the one with bills to pay.
Well, wouldn't it be right to do something like this without talking to Miss Wiley first?
You're a big girl, Grace. Can't you make your own decisions?
Of course I can make my own decisions.
You take it came from the company.
The company owes us a lot more than that.
If you ever see it,
Grace, maybe we should do it.
It just don't seem right.
you're gonna talk to those reporters anyhow. Why not get something out of it?
He's right, you know. I mean, believe me, you girls could cash in big. The day we ran that feature on you, bang, sold out of every copy at every newsstand. Everybody can sympathize with the plight of some poor sick girls facing certain death with no hope of fulfillment in motherhood.
I'd like for you to leave now. My friend is tired. She needs her rest.
Grace, at least think about it.
Sure. Think it over. I interests here. There's no reason why you shouldn't get something out of all this. Look out for number one, that's the way. Everybody's out to get what they can, for sure. Why should you sit back and keep your nose clean when everybody else is up to their elbows in it?
That's all right, Dr. Neff. You can put that away.
Maybe you'd rather look at it on the x-ray. This was an expensive case to treat, and I really did get no compensation. The girl died. Her family never paid.
I sympathize, Dr. Neff. But what has that to do with us?
Here it is straight. There's going to be a lot more girls coming out saying they got sick here. So maybe we can do business. I scratch your back, you scratch mine, that sort of thing.
I'm not following you.
Suppose you were to give me a list of the girls who worked here. I'd see to it there were no more lawsuits.
You think you could cure them?
Couldn't put out a cure, no. I'm saying, I scratch your back, you scratch mine.
How so, Dr. Neff?
I examine them for radium necrosis. Then I come up with a favorable diagnosis for you. Pyorrhea, say, or something else. Quite a few cases will just die a natural death anyway, and the rest we can put off until the statute of limitations kicks in, and it's too late to sue.
They'll convince them they haven't got a case against the company?
Exactly. But if it did come to court, I could testify that it was some other problem. And it would be a strong testimony coming from the dentist who treated them.
What makes you so sure these girls will come to you?
They'll come to me quick if I don't charge them nothing.
Because we'd be paying you.
Exactly. Right, we understand each other, Mr. Reader.
What exactly are you asking for, Dr. Neff?
I need $10,000 for my trouble so far. And for every girl I'd agree to see from here on out, $2 for every visit, plus expenses for the x-rays. I'm suggesting a gentleman's agreement here. Better off if it's not in writing.
No.
All right, we'll put it in writing.
We'll do nothing of the kind. Your proposal is immoral and will have nothing to do with it.
Immoral, you say? You're a fine one to be talking about morals.
Mr. Lee,
When you got your own hired guns ready to testify.
those are expert witnesses.
Expert witnesses. Paid lackeys is more like it. And none of them's got the dirt I got. If you're smart, you'll play ball with me. Believe me, there's plenty of other folks interested in the information.
You're threatening me.
Just a business proposition, Mr. Reader. Just looking out for my interests. Same way you look out for yours.
Mr. Lee, see Dr. Neff to the door.
All right, all right. You don't want to play ball, that's fine. But believe me, when all this shakes out, it won't be me holding the short end of the stick.
Gentlemen, I want you all to make statements on what happened this morning. We'll send them to the State Dental Society. Then Dr. Neff will see who's playing ball and who isn't.
An excellent idea.
I don't know. Perhaps we shouldn't be so quick to dismiss Neff's proposal.
What do you mean?
We're in a very bad situation here, Mr. Reader.
That's true. Mr. Lee says you're having trouble getting girls to work here.
Yes, and we've lost contracts because of
And
it.
it's going to get worse.
The papers are full of stories about those girls.
Making them out to be saints.
And what defense can we put out?
Except to say we'll try our case in court.
And in the court of public opinion, we've already lost.
Perhaps we should reconsider it. Couldn't hurt to have testimony from a dentist that treated those girls.
Neff could be very helpful to us. We should retain him.
Retain him as what? An extortionist?
As an expert.
Like Dr. Flynn.
Dr. Flynn is a highly respected professor at Columbia University. Neff is a neighborhood dentist.
But Flynn treated some of the girls, didn't he?
He didn't treat them. He consulted with them.
He dispensed medical advice, Arthur.
It wasn't medical advice. It was an expert's opinion, a scientific opinion.
How about this? We retain Neff, but we don't put him on the stand. Just so we keep him from testifying for the women.
That's the most important thing.
Yes, I agree. That's the most important thing.
Would you agree to something like that? Mr. Reader.
Mr. Reader.
Mr. Reader.
Edward! We can't possibly do this. We can't get to bed with a man like Neff.
Arthur's right. We don't want to do business with Neff.
He could hurt us. We have to take steps.
Neff has already given us everything we need. New evidence, gentlemen. This is grounds for postponement.
Three months to examine an X-ray. It's outrageous. And the girls. Did you see the girls? Their eyes are like saucers looking at me. They're terrified.
Mr. Berry,
How are they going to hold out 3 more months? Catherine Shaw could barely make it into the courtroom today. And Grace, I can tell she was trying so hard not to cry. And of course, I had all the answers. Go home, girls. Get some rest. That's the best I can do. Get some rest.
you're doing wonderfully, Mr. Berry. It's a difficult case.
I don't understand people like Markley and Rita. How can they play this sort of game with the poor girls just sitting right there?
This will help to explain. I received a letter.
You can't even be eager to take care of this with sort of publicity this has gotten. But Markley seems to enjoy the sick sport of it. What he can get away with. It's cold. It's very, very cold.
Mr. Berry,
What's this?
it's from Captain Drinker, Mrs. Cecil Drinker.
Very interesting, Miss Wiley, but I believe we've already seen this document. There's nothing in it to help us.
You've only seen part of it. This is the full report. This is Captain Drinker of Harvard. She worked with Dr. Draper on the study of the radium plant. And she's been following our story very closely in the papers and was especially disturbed to read that last article in the Ledger, the one where Mr. Lee says her report clears the company.
He doctored the reports. Reader doctored the reports.
Apparently he pulled out one page listing the blood conditions of a dozen employees. He passed it off as the whole thing.
We can use this.
Yes, this should impress the judge.
The judge. Miss Wiley, I'm not going to wait 3 months to make use of this evidence. Call your contact at the New York Worlds. Mr. Reno won't let us present our evidence in the courtroom. You can read about it in the newspaper.
January 12, 1928. Jack and we're here for the Newark Ledger.
Nancy Jane Harlan for the New York Graphic.
Radium Girls go to court today.
Radium Girls knock on the doors of justice. Will they be heard?
These poor, injured girls face pain,
Disfigurement
ruin.
and death. As the clock ticks away the precious moments
A hearing begins in Chancery Court.
where the U.S. Radium Corporation demands a postponement,
While plaintiff's attorney Raymond Berry makes a shocking disclosure.
showing that the company lied to the Department of Labor,
Showing it distorted the results of a Harvard study.
concealing the ill effects of its product.
Read about it in the Ledger.
Read about it in the Graphic. We care because you care.
Very bad.
You didn't read it?
I make a point not to these days.
If only other people would do the same. Mrs. Mitchell from across the street, she walked right past me this morning. Didn't say a word to me. And the woman at the market and the greengrocer, the way they glance at each other. And at the club, Mrs. Milton, the other ladies, whispers.
Why don't you put that away? Read the journal. I saw it here the other day. Why don't you read
At the
that?
club today, someone actually had the nerve to ask me, is it true? Is it true, she said, did your husband actually poison those women? I said, Mrs. Cowles, you think it is true. Why ever would you speak to me at all? I certainly would not associate with a woman whose husband did such things.
Why'd you go there then, if that's the way people are?
Been a member for years.
What do you want me to say, Diane? I knew we were poisoning people, but we didn't want to stop because we were making too much money. Is that what you want me to say?
I certainly don't want you to say such a thing.
Even if it were true? Or especially if it were true?
Is it true?
Is that what you think?
What would you like me to think?
For God's sakes, Diane, don't you see what's going on? It's Von Shashak. He's behind all this. He's jealous of our success. He's feeding information to the Consumers League so they can railroad us.
What? Why would the Consumers League?
Bunch of radical women. Do-gooders. Half of them are Reds probably, socialists. That's what they are. Same thing with that club you belong to.
What?
You women think you can go around and fix the world's problems
I can't,
while your
I'm
husbands
sorry.
don't make a living. You're going to quit that club.
With the
And
club?
stop talking to that idiot, Mr. Middleton.
You're
She
not
doesn't know
making
anything.
any sense.
None of those women know anything. You don't know anything.
Did you lie to the Department of Labor?
What?
Did you lie?
I didn't lie. I just didn't agree with Drinker's results.
Arthur,
I have a fiduciary duty to the company.
I can't listen to this.
Diane, I have documents. I have articles. People with tumors the size of baseballs. Radiotherapy, the tumors disappear, Diane.
I'm tired. I'm going upstairs.
We save lives. We make lives better. Mild radium therapy invigorates. You can't really think I'm a liar, Diane. You can't really believe I would set out to poison people, can you? Diane,
No.
do you think I would ever do anything to hurt you? Or to hurt Harriet?
Certainly not.
Then,
13 girls have died.
people die every day. Newspapers are full of death notices. Young, old, infants, children younger than Harriet die every day.
But they worked for you.
They also work other places. Diane, I have a report from Columbia University, an expert in industrial hygiene, just like Drinker, who says there's no connection between our plant and illnesses. Would you like to see the report?
Then what would the cause be?
I don't know, Diane. I really don't know. I've done everything I could to find out. No one knows. Please say you believe me. If you don't believe me, there's no point to anything.
Artie,
You remember the day I told my father I wasn't going into the ministry? What you said to me that day?
you can do as much good of orphan as you can in the church.
You remember?
You think I would forget?
I was such a scared kid. And he was an icon. If it weren't for you, I don't think I could have stood up to him.
I'm sure you would have, Artie. I know you would have.
And ever since then, he's been looking for signs that my soul is lost. You don't think that, do you? That my soul is lost?
You're a good man, Artie.
We save lives, Diane.
You save lives.
It's all for you. You know that, don't you? Everything I do, it always has been.
I know.
Please don't let that be another reporter. Don't answer it! Arthur!
Is that Mr. Lee?
Charlie, for God's sakes!
I just got off the telephone with someone from the ledger.
It's gonna wait until morning?
I'm sorry, believe me.
Mr. Lee?
It's Dr. Lehman.
Dan?
He's dead, Arthur.
What?
He died this morning.
Charlie, that's not possible. I just saw him last week.
He was just here a month ago for cards. They were just here.
Martin's already done the autopsy. He says it was severe anemia.
He's blaming the radio.
The ledger's going to run it on page 1. I told the reporter to issue a statement at 8 o'clock. That's when he needs it, so it can run tomorrow.
When are the services?
Sorry?
The services.
I don't know.
We'll send flowers. Diane?
Of course, I'll call Louise.
Yes, that's right. Call Louise.
I should go over and see her right now. Oh, poor Louise. We should go see her.
I wouldn't do that.
Why ever not?
She's planning to sue.
Louise?
The reporter from the ledger told me she's filing a wrongful death action. I worked up a statement for the paper. Company chemist for 8 years, always in poor health, recently in decline.
But Dan was never sickly. He was always on the golf course or sailing or in the garden. Artie, he kept a beautiful garden.
Let's take care of this in the morning, Charlie.
Of course. Sorry to bring you the bad news, Mrs. Arita. Good night.
Good night, Mr. Lee.
Charlie can be a bit excessive at times. We have to say something. I don't know what we'll say, but we have to say something. The shareholders will expect it.
You needn't explain.
Sometimes it's necessary.
It's all right. You needn't explain. We're gonna throw this away now.
There's half a case under the sink.
And we'll get rid of that too. We'll have no more of it in this house.
I'll do it. Diane? I'm in too far to quit.
I really didn't expect you to. February 21st, 1928. To Mr. Raymond Berry from Harrison Martland, Medical Examiner, Essex County. We've examined the remains of the deceased Amalia Maja. Our study reveals the following. Radioactive substances found in the lower jaw, the upper jaw, and the lumbar vertebrae. No evidence of syphilis was found.
Body is radioactive.
Bones of dead girl kick off gamma rays.
Catherine Wiley of Consumers League declares, new evidence shows company lied.
Dr. Joseph Neff, a Newark dentist who treated Amalia, has turned over portions of the jawbone he removed from her mouth. This X-ray film shows that the jawbone is still radioactive 5 years after the girl died.
Will this make your case?
Will this force a settlement?
Make our case? No, this gentleman will make our case.
Last night, in a graphic exclusive, the founder of the U.S. Radium Corporation broke his long silence with this shocking announcement.
Radium is one of the most dangerous substances known to man.
Dr. Von Tachocki, is it true that you assisted with the autopsy?
Yeah. And with my expertise in radium extraction, I was able to surmise Miss Mata absorbed enough radium to kill 10 people.
Doctor, do you agree that the Radium Girls only have a year to live?
From what I've seen, they would be lucky if they lasted.
I'll tell you what we should have done. We should have taken that reporter up on an offer. That's what we should have done.
$5,000. Don't make me laugh.
We should have talked her up too. Because I'll tell you what. They would have paid. I'll tell you what else we should have done.
Stop telling me what we should have done. Lots of things we should have done. It don't do no good to think about them now.
Alright. Keep your shirt on.
What do you think? The red or the blue?
So what's Barry say? Is he going to go back to the company?
I like the red, but it don't fit so good these days.
Is he going to try and talk the company up a bit?
Miss Wiley says another interview will do the trick. So I say what's one more, you know?
That's what you try to think. What if they came up to 5,000? Would you take it then?
Let them come up. I'm not caving in.
It's called a settlement.
Settlement. It's just a way for them to hide.
Let them hide.
And they win.
So they win. They're going to win anyways.
Next, you got so much confidence in me.
Grace, for Christ's sake. You have one lawyer working for nothing. Up against 6 other lawyers who are all getting a bundle. Do you really think you have a chance?
You know what I found out today? They used lead screens in the laboratory. For the technicians, did they give us lead screens?
Oh, Jesus.
What do you think? 100 girls in a room and they're going to spend that kind of money on us?
Grace.
And they're trying to keep it all quiet.
Grace.
And Miss Wiley says that they're going to close down here
doing
and move across the river to New York to open up another factory like nothing ever happened.
Grace, what are we doing here? I thought the idea was you get some money to settle your debts. Get a better doctor, maybe. Then we move on with things.
Move on with things?
You're still wearing my green, Grace.
Oh, tell me.
Grace, there's a house for sale in my brother's neighborhood. 2 rooms up, 2 rooms down. It's not much, but it's a start. You'll like it. It's already got flowered wallpaper. And the best part is, it's only 3 blocks from the school.
The school? What do we need with the school?
Plan ahead for once.
Tommy, what do you think is going to happen when all this is over? Do you think things will just go back to the way it was? I have to see the surgeon again. I've got some fluid. He's going to drain it,
Okay.
and then he says there'll be more.
Don't get to it when it
And
comes.
still more, and then more, and still more. How can you go on talking about houses and getting married when you know that there is nothing that...
Grace, I
can't think about that. I just want for us to be together now. I want to come home to you, to my wife, my home. I'm too old to be living this in-between life. Grace, I promise I'll do whatever it takes to make it easier for you.
Here,
Grace,
I should have gave it back to you a long time ago. Tommy,
I don't want it.
please. Are you gonna make me say it?
You just need some rest, that's all. You didn't get enough sleep. I'll come back to see you tomorrow.
Tommy!
You get some rest.
Tommy! Tommy! Tommy, listen to me, Tommy! Tommy!
Arthur,
Charlie.
aren't you headed home?
Charlie, I've been thinking it over. I think we're taking the wrong approach here. I think we should settle this case. We've got to make a reasonable offer to those girls.
No, Arthur, we agreed. We need a definitive victory, otherwise you invite more of the same nonsense.
Things have changed.
I know you and Dan were close, Arthur, but you can't let that cloud your judgment.
Von Sashaki is going to testify.
We can deal with him.
How?
Put more money in his pocket.
Now you want to bribe him?
Not a bribe. Consideration.
Consideration.
For an expert witness. Whatever Barry's paying him, we'll just make a better offer.
You don't understand guilt, do you, Charlie?
Right now, I don't have the luxury of thinking about it.
Let me tell you something, Charlie. A guilty man has a tremendous need to unburden himself. His guilt can eat him alive. Don't you see? What Von Sashaki wants is to be free. That is why he's testifying for the girls. That is why he will never testify for us, no matter how much consideration you offer.
Settle with these girls, and you'll have to settle with all the others. Neff was right about that. This is just the beginning.
Tell Markley to get in touch with Barry. Get a conversation going. Come up with a figure the girls can accept.
For God's sake, Arthur, what do you want to do to me? You want to wipe me out? Is
You've
that
got
it?
to get this on the table.
Every penny I put by for the last 7 years I've sunk into this company. Why? Because of you. Because you said it was a sure thing, no miss. Why work for Von Sashaki when we can work for ourselves? Remember that one? Take a chance, Charlie! Take a chance!
Charlie, we were fooled! Von Sashaki fooled us all. The only thing to do now is to try to clean it up as best we can.
Do this and it's the end, Arthur.
You're stepping down, Charlie?
Not me.
Well.
Don't you know? They're one vote away from getting rid of you.
And whose vote is that, Charlie?
Have you so little faith in me, Arthur?
I'm still a stockholder, Charlie. You don't have enough votes to get me off the board. I'll still be on the board.
And still on the hook if this company goes under. Think about that the next time your conscience starts to bother you.
March 15th, 1928. To Mr. Raymond Barry, Attorney at Law. From Edward Markley, Counsel, U.S. Radium. One of my key witnesses has encountered a serious scheduling conflict that makes it impossible for him to appear during April. Therefore, I requested an extension until June. As for your request for a settlement, each case involves a humanitarian aspect. Therefore, that cannot be the basis for settling this one. However, I do believe you will be rewarded for the good work you are doing. If not in this world, then in the next.
Tommy, please, rise and shine. Madam Curie? Time for work. Oh, am I late? I set the alarm. We have 5,000 towels to paint before breakfast. Up, it's almost a war effort. Please,
complaining, good soldiers, don't complain.
But I'm dying.
And who isn't?
Shut up, Grace.
Irene,
Get up, sleepyhead. You'll never make quota like this.
but it's not fair. I'm only 26. I should be married by now. I should have children. My own home.
We all have to make sacrifices sometimes.
No, I did.
But why? Why do we have to make sacrifices?
It's all for science, Grace.
Science, family. Every life is sacrificed to something. Only a matter of choosing which.
That I didn't choose. I didn't get no choice.
Sure you did, Grace. Sure you did.
Catherine! Don't do that!
Oh, now look what you did, Grace. She's bleeding out of the dials.
I'm sorry, Catherine. I guess I shouldn't have said anything.
No problem. What's one more dead dial painter?
Grace? Grace, Mr. Markley will be here any minute now.
Mr. Markley?
He's bringing the papers for you to sign. Did you fall asleep?
Has Miss Wiley been by?
Miss Wiley.
About Catherine? She told me she might stop by. Did she come by?
She may have.
Don't you know?
Someone came to the door earlier today. I think your brother answered it. Look, Grace, you gotta get ready.
They took Catherine back to the hospital last night.
I know, dear. I know. Look, after you talk to Mr. Markley, we'll go over there and see how she is. Now, look, comb through that hair.
I dreamt she died.
Grace, don't speak such things.
If she dies, it's over.
3 months behind on mortgage, Grace.
I know that.
Can't let this go on.
$15,000. Not even a year's wages.
It's better than nothing, ain't it?
Is that all I'm worth? Better than nothing?
Of course not, sweetheart, but we gotta be realistic. At the rate things are going, you'll never get inside that courtroom, and even if you do, you can't prove nothing.
Mr. Barry thinks we can.
Mr. Barry ain't paying the bills. There's the doctor, and the bank, and the coal man. You can't just expect folks to treat us like charity because you're sick.
Not asking for charity, Mom. I just want what's owed to me.
Grace, I know it feels like you're letting Catherine down. But if she decided to take the company's offer, would you hold it against her? No, you wouldn't. So take that check and use it to pay the bills and whatever's left. What are you talking about? Something to get you started?
Nothing to start, Mom.
Why would you be so hard on Tommy?
Mom, please, don't.
Can't you see? You just can't face the idea of you not being with us?
I have to face it. Why can't he?
Of course I can do your hair, Grace.
$250,000. What would you do with $250,000, Miss Fryer? I can't imagine. No point to it. Mom, you didn't tell me I had mail? New Mexico, huh? They just keep writing. She was here. Miss Wiley was here. Mom, Miss Wiley was here this morning. She left me this note.
It's right. I don't know it.
Ma said you brought papers?
Yes, the terms as I spelled out in my letter. $1,500 to you. I have a check right here. All we need is your signature.
Grace, Mr. Markley is a very busy man.
Oh no, please take your time. If you want, I can leave and come back later.
No, we'll do this now.
What's hold harmless?
You agree to hold the company harmless from any further action.
no more lawsuits.
Correct.
Is that just for me or anybody in my family?
Your entire family. It precludes a wrongful death action also.
This is a confidential settlement?
Yes.
You didn't say nothing about it being confidential.
That's standard for most legal settlements, Ms. Fryer. We like to protect our privacy. And yours. It cuts both ways. You agree to keep quiet about the terms of the settlement? And so do we.
That seems fair.
Need a pen?
I have another question.
Grace, Mr. Markley already explained the terms of the settlement to you.
I don't mind.
What is contributory negligence, Mr. Markley? No. It's not in that one. It was in them other papers that you filed when we did the lawsuit. The Radium Company said its defense was the statute of limitations and contributory negligence.
I'm not sure what you're asking, Ms. Fryer.
It means it's our fault, don't it?
It's a standard defense, Ms. Fryer. I wouldn't take it personally.
How else can I take it?
Mr. Markley, Grace has had an awful headache all day. If you could just leave the papers.
Maybe you could just answer the question, Mom.
Why are you doing this?
Why didn't you tell me Miss Wiley was here?
You already made up your mind. She's only trying to talk you out of it.
What did she say about Catherine?
Mr. Markley, if you could just leave the papers, Grace will sign them.
Mom! What did she say about Catherine?
She said, it don't look good.
Perhaps I'll come back later when Ms. Fryer is feeling better.
You didn't answer my question, Mr. Markley. And I really like an answer. Because let me tell you, I quit school at 15. I went to work at the radium plant because my folks needed the money. At your plant, they told us what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. My folks didn't raise me to make trouble, so I didn't make trouble. I didn't ask questions. I did what I was told. How do you get contributory negligence out of that?
As I said, it's a standard defense.
There is nothing standard about what happened to me.
We deeply regret your situation. However, there is no evidence to tie your condition to any actions by the U.S. Radium Corporation.
Then why are you giving me this money?
It's a humanitarian gesture.
Humanitarian
Mr.
gesture!
Markley, I'll take the papers.
Humanitarian! Month after month, you put us off. Delay after delay, knowing how sick we were, how tired and desperate. Humanitarian! You're waiting for us to die.
Grace, please stop this now.
Not one by one. I watched my friends get sick and die in the most horrible way. And you think I should be grateful for any spare change they throw at me?
Ms. Fryer, this is a very generous offer under the circumstances. I would advise you to take it because it won't be on the table for very long.
What do you mean?
Ms. Fryer does not sign within the next 24 hours. We will be forced to withdraw our offer. Permanently.
Grace, he's lying.
I beg your pardon, miss?
You're trying to tell me that if I don't sign these papers, but I came back, say, a week from now, and told you I changed my mind, you'd still rather go to court. You would still rather some judge get one look at me and take your chances that I won't win on sympathy alone? 24 hours. You're just trying to bully me.
Very well then, Ms. Fryer. I'll take that for a no. We'll see you in court.
Yes, you will. You will see me. You and Mr. Reader both, even if they have to carry me in there. You call my man back. I'm going to court, Mom.
And what are you trying to prove? You know you can't win.
I want them to look at me. I want them to look at me and explain how it's my fault
high school because you said I should. I put that brush in my mouth because Mrs. McNeil said I should. I never said, please, can I finish school? I never said, I don't like the taste of that paint. I never asked questions. Even though I knew. I knew, Mom, that something wasn't right. At night, lying in bed, my dress hanging on the back of the closet door, all aglow, my shoes on the floor, my hairbrush, my comb on the dresser. So much light, Mom. So much light. And I never once questioned. I never once asked. Don't you see? They knew I would. That's what they were counting on.
You making all this noise.
I left messages with your housekeeper. I know you got the messages.
As we are no longer in business together, I felt it was best not to respond.
Is that what this is about?
Perhaps some tea will. Perhaps some tea will come in us.
You never told us the paint was dangerous. You never said a word about it, not to me, not to Dan.
I didn't know.
You didn't know. You invented the paint, you didn't know. How can you lie like that?
I didn't know until it was too late, Asa.
I should put you through that wall.
Yeah, perhaps you should. But you will not. You will sit yourself down, and you will have some tea.
I was not the tactical man. You were the tactical man.
Yeah, I was the tactical man. Sit down, Asa.
I sold watches for Christ's sake. I was a salesman.
A good one at that. Very good head for business you have. Always you could find ways to cut the cost without losing the quality. That is a gift, Asa. So, why don't you have some tea?
Jesus Christ. What's the matter with your hands?
It's been that way for some time now.
What? Have you been dipping them in ink?
Ha! Dipping them in ink. How fond of a pretty story you are. No, if only for ink. Dr. Martin tells me it's necrosis of the tissues, the cells. They're dying. But the dial painters and the job started necrosis. Whereas me, my hands.
I had no idea.
No reason why you should. It's been a long time since I've seen you.
How long?
I've known for quite a while now. Miss Wiley from the Consumers League. She persuaded me to assist Dr. Martin in testing the girls for radium exposure. Not many people can test for that sort of thing, so she came to me. No one had the equipment and of course the skills. I didn't want to believe it either, Asa. I didn't want to believe the girls could get sick from working with my paint. I wanted to show it was a mistake. So we couldn't help. Dr. Martin died. We conducted expired air tests on the girls. It was then I found out. When my own breath registered radioactive. And then my fingers began to turn black. Now, you just have words me.
I'm sorry.
Well, perhaps you should make an appointment yourself with Dr. Martin.
Me? What for?
Asa, Did you not notice the glowing dust on your shoes when you went home nights?
How could I miss it? I tracked it all over the house.
And be sure, a good deal of that dust is now in your lungs. Look familiar.
It's our promotional piece.
An excellent promotion. How many new sales does that book account for?
I didn't track it exactly. I like to think it helped our medical market quite a bit.
Page 86.
What?
Open it. The last chapter. Read it.
The last chapter? Radium, dangerous effects.
Dangerous effects. Now tell me, Asa. How many articles do you listen to?
About 18, it looks like.
How far back did they go, those articles?
I don't know.
Look at the first. There. What's the date?
1906.
1906. Now, tell me, Asa. When you go to court, you plan to testify that you had no idea radium was dangerous. How do you plan to do that when your own book said that it was? How can you claim that you did not know?
I never really read it.
What's that?
I never really read it. I hired a man to put it together. I just glanced at the galleys. I never read the book.
How do you mean you never read the book, Mr. Reader?
It was a standard arrangement. An outside company prepared the piece. They were responsible for the content.
Which you never read.
I think you'll find, Mr. Barry, that very few company presidents read their promotions word for word.
It does have your name on it, and you authorized its release, so you would finally say the contents.
Mr. Lee was responsible for our promotional efforts at the time. I entrusted those activities to him.
Now, Mr. Reader, you testified you started your work at the U.S. Radium Corporation in 1980, true?
Yes, as plant manager.
How long did you hold this position?
4 years.
4 years. During those 4 years, how often did you venture into the studio?
Every day.
Every day. Well then, you must have observed the girls pointing the brushes on their lips.
I don't recall.
You don't recall? Mr. Reader, you're trying to tell me that you went into the studio every single day, and not once did you observe a girl put a brush to her mouth.
I said I don't recall it.
You don't recall it? What do you recall, Mr. Reader? You're an awfully young man with a faulty memory.
Objection!
I withdraw. No more questions.
Your witness, Mr. Markley.
I have no questions for this witness, Your Honor.
All right, gentlemen, please approach. I'm ready to issue my ruling.
Your Honor, we still haven't presented our defense.
I realize that, Mr. Markley, but this proceeding is to determine standing. Now, I've heard enough these 2 days to make that determination. The radium in the bones of these girls is an ongoing source of poison in their systems. Nothing your witnesses can say will change that fact, will it?
Our witnesses are prepared to testify that we could not have known of this danger.
Mr. Markley, in the interest of justice, I am asking that the defense rest without calling any witnesses. We can conclude this hearing today and schedule the case for trial.
All right, Your Honor.
Fine. I therefore rule that the statute of limitations has not been exhausted and these girls have standing to sue.
Your Honor, one thing, if I may. I have a very busy schedule with 2 other cases pending. The key witness will not be available until the end of the summer.
Your Honor.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but our chief expert witness is associated with an institution of higher learning. This is the busiest time of year for him, and I cannot expect him to be available.
Your Honor, Mr. Markley is responsible for that situation. He's the one who demanded continuous delays.
Your Honor, we've just agreed to waive our right to present defense at this hearing. Surely we will not be able to go to trial without the presence of our key witness.
All right, Mr. Markley. Trial is set for September. This hearing is adjourned.
Edward, why can't Flynn appear?
He's going to Europe.
Europe? But he's known about this for months. Why would very clever, Edward. How long do you plan to keep this up?
As long as necessary.
Mr. Markley.
Mr. Barry, congratulations. I never believed the court would go for it.
You know full well these girls can't wait until September. One is so ill, she can't appear in court.
My client has the right to make his defense.
We will not wait 3 more months. I promise you that. One way or another, we will find room in the docket. Your expert witness be damned.
That girl is still staring at me,
I wouldn't worry about it.
but she thinks it's personal, that I planned this somehow. How do I make her understand I didn't want this to happen?
You don't. You don't make her understand. You don't talk to her.
But she looks like death, Edward.
They all look like that, Edward.
Grace. That man, Miss Wiley.
He won't look at me. He won't ever look at me. He just looks right past me. Like I'm not even there.
Doesn't matter, Grace. He heard you.
June 4th, 1928. Nancy Jane Harlan here for the New York Graphic.
Jack Youngway here for the New York Ledger.
Raymond Barry seeks trial date for early summer.
As U.S. Radium Corporation announces a settlement.
A settlement?
$10,000 cash for each girl and $12 a week for life.
$12 a week.
Read all about it in the Ledger, your first source for news.
The U.S. Radium Corporation also agreed to the settlement and agreed to pay the medical expenses of each girl for the remainder of her life. And the girls have agreed to submit a periodic examination by a panel of physicians yet to be appointed. Questions?
What led to the settlement? What were other pending cases?
It was purely for humanitarian reasons that the U.S. Radium Corporation agreed to the settlement. We admit no liability whatsoever.
Where does the company go from here?
The U.S. Radium Corporation is pleased to end this lengthy litigation and looks forward to many more years serving its customers and this community. And that's C.B. Lee, President.
Catherine Wiley of the New Jersey Consumers League, our press statement.
Mrs. Wiley, are you pleased with the outcome?
Finally, these poor girls received some compensation for their suffering. And more importantly, the issue of radium poisoning has been brought to public awareness.
Thanks, Miss Wiley.
By the way, it's Wiley with one L and Catherine with a K.
Well, Edward, it looks like we're back in business.
What's your game plan?
Didn't I tell you? I've got a buy for the tailings that have been piling up behind the building on Alton Street.
Oh,
Some contractor in Montclair needs a little infill.
that's perfect.
Now, Catherine, this won't do. We can't see the name. That's better. Well, Catherine, I brought my watercolors today. It's such a beautiful day, too. The leaves are starting to turn, but it's warm. Too warm for a sweater. Not much of a breeze. A fine day to paint.
I thought I might find you up here.
You were right.
It's quiet up here.
Yep.
Well, I guess if you're to rest in peace, this is the place to do it.
I guess it is.
What do you call that?
Watercolors. I'm a little weak when it comes to landscapes, though.
No, Grace. It's It's nice.
First thing I bought with the settlement money was my own set of paints. Got some oils, too.
Big spender.
Then I got a car.
I didn't know you could drive.
I can't. My brother's gonna teach me. He drove me up here today.
Grace, if you wanted to learn how to drive, I'd teach you.
You're too busy for that now, Tommy.
You know about that.
Tommy, orange just isn't that big.
Grace, I meant to tell you, I really did.
It's all right, Tommy. I'm happy for you. For both of you.
No hard feelings then?
Tom, do you honestly think I have time for that?
Are you glad, Grace? I mean, about a second. You don't feel you back down, do you?
I didn't back down. They did. Papa?
Who was over here?
Oh, not this again.
This is where I saw her that last time.
This is morbid, Papa.
I stood there for a long time. She didn't notice me at first, but something made her look up.
Oh my.
No wonder Mama won't come for drives with you anymore if this is how you spend your Sundays.
I saw her looking at me, and I looked away.
Just like at the courthouse that day. He can't bring himself to look at me.
You need to find another hobby. I don't think this is good for you.
My heart started pounding, Harriet. I never knew what I would say to her if I had the chance. And suddenly, there she was, and I had the chance.
So what did you say?
I couldn't bring myself to speak.
It's almost as if he's afraid to look at me.
I had my chance, and I couldn't speak.
He's afraid of me. Oh, Papa, that was years ago. Why don't you just forget about it?
It's not like it was your fault. Nobody knew about things like that then. Science just wasn't as advanced the way it is now.
I think back on those days, and I think, how could it have happened? I remember so clearly climbing the stairs to the studio at Alden Street. At the top of those stairs, those wide, high windows slanted the light, the way it hit the floor, the way the floor creaked under my feet, the smell of the place, chalky like an old school. And all those girls, schoolgirls really, all bent to the task in their plain green smocks, their delicate little hands moving so quickly. No man could work the way those girls did. So careful, so fast. Those brushes flying from the dials to the paint, to the dials, to their lips. Try as I might, Harriet, try as I might, I cannot remember their faces. I never saw their faces.